very typical journey in that I started in corporate America, was an associate manager, and I had amazing leadership that helped me understand the power of leading without authority, which means you don't have the name tag, but you're still providing value to the folks who have a direct impact on your bottom line or on your success. And that was very formative because I realized if everyone around me succeeds, I succeed as well. And one key event that happened in my life is having peer mentors, specifically this one peer mentor that he's an entrepreneur. He was former mayor of a city close to me, and he really took me under his wing and helped me understand that leading is oftentimes following. And what does that mean? That means that you have to learn how to follow before you learn how to lead. He demonstrated this in spades through the work that he did at the state, city, and local level, and being able to round up folks within his city to vote a certain way in the policy. And then when it came to his work at his company, a multi-million-dollar company, he was very much of the mind that you have to lift where you stand and no job is too beneath him. So if his managers needed help, he would get in there and first of all, listen, try to empower, not micromanage. But if that didn't happen, he would get in there and get his hands dirty and try to execute as well. Cross-functional skill sets are extremely key. Being able to work within an ambiguous environment is key. Being proactive it's probably the most important strength, skill set, whatever you want to call it, that we prioritize at the agency, just because things are moving so fast when it comes to AI, when it comes to technology, when it comes to our actual capitalist economic system, that we need people to think on their feet and don't wait for the answer. We need people to go out there and figure it out. So people who grow really quickly within my company are folks who don't wait to be told what to do. They'll go out there and try to find a solution themselves and then come back and say, here's my problem. Here's 3 solutions that I have for you. What do you think we should do? And that provides a lot more, again, you kind of lead through following and say, hey, that's great. Thank you for doing some network before you actually come to me with that problem. And so that's what we try to look for when it comes to talent, people who are very proactive. We call it entrepreneurship, people within the company that has that entrepreneurial nature, that take the company as their own. And then obviously incentivize. Make sure that if they're doing that and it's successful, you reward them through bonuses, through pay raises, through titles. Each person is different as to why they want or what motivates them. So identifying that, but usually it's one of those 3. Recognition externally, financial recognition internally, or community recognition. So very, very basic. The work of 5 people cannot be done by 1. So that's how AI has directly affected our space, because we're a marketing agency. We've been doing this for the past 10 plus years. And so the reality is the work that could be done by a graphic designer, a copywriter, a copy editor, a videographer, a video producer cannot be done by 1 individual. Now, that's not to say we want that person to do all 5 of those jobs, but we don't need redundancy. So there's a lot of redundancy that can be offboarded, lower your operational costs, that we absolutely love when it comes to AI. The challenge is always upskilling and uptraining the talent. And it goes back to what we talked about a bit earlier, which is don't come to me with problems. If you have a solution, identify that solution that saves the company operationally or grows the company structurally. And so that's what has happened. And then within our industry, when it comes to AI, is going the way of the dinosaur. Zuckerberg has recently released a publication saying, we want to get rid of the agency model. We want to have everyone be servicing their business through Facebook or Meta and not need to use an agency. So we know that the writing's on the wall. We have to move fast. We have to move agile. And in the world of redundancy, it's the unique voice that stands out. So that's what we're trying to do within the agency. Yeah, new leaders. I love that idea because we do have to upskill that base. If you see all the studies coming out of who is underemployed, who's unemployed, and who's employed, you'd be surprised how many soft skill certifications, degrees are being employed where hard skills are not as necessary anymore. That's a huge shift from where I was going to school When I went to get my MBA, post MBA, it's all about hard skills. And now it's more soft skills. It's being able to communicate with authority, having that ability to be able to lead a team, being able to communicate value in a way that's not non-aggressive, being able to talk to a multitude of stakeholders in a way that drives the bottom line, drives the result that you want. That is not going to change. If anything, that's something that we look within our agency as well. You have to be competent, but you have to be able to work within a team environment. And now post COVID, that world has shifted and we're all online, but you still need those soft skills. People still want to work with you. Clients still want to work with you. And that differentiation is going to drive value to whatever corporation or whatever leader can demonstrate that. People still want to work with people they like. That's not going to change. Yeah, I love that idea of being AI ready. And one of the things that I always think, and our leadership team always thinks about, is not the tool, but the function. Uh, you know, 10 years ago, they called it jobs to be done. So no one buys the hammer for the hammer's sake. They buy the hammer to create the table, to create the chair, to build the house. And so it's that critical level of analysis for the employee that we're trying to hire. They really need to understand that the sizzle, which is the AI latest and greatest, was great, but the function of that sizzle, the meat and potatoes, is really what we want them to understand. And if we can have a dialogue around an AI tool and you can get beyond like, this is so amazing, this is so cool, in the novice of it, and really get into what is the value that we're providing to the end user. And if you could get to the emotional piece as well, like, okay, yeah, we understand they want to, improve their content, but understanding why, start with why. That piece is never going to change. And employees who really understand AI in that lens, and yes, this is an important AI tool, but why and how do we provide that value at the end of the day is what we look for. And then the other piece is competence over confidence. At the end of the day, you have to know how to do the things that we're asking you to do. I don't care if you have multiple degrees. My degrees are hanging in the wall, and I'm looking at them like, don't really matter anymore. I'd much rather get certified or get 1 year, 2 year degree that specializes in one thing that's extremely important within the market than go through the 10 years of educational experience. That's not to say I don't value educational experience, and I wouldn't give that up for anything in the world, but the world has changed. And for the new folks coming through the pipeline, it's functionality over everything. I love this question because it really tells the importance of being agile within the company, within the corporation. And from our perspective, that remote work started in 1996. The world went global, and corporate America, looking for, getting value, providing margins, really realized the importance of globalization in the form of offshoring, nearshoring. And so they adopted that back in 1996, 2000, 2005, and politically speaking, we all know what happened to first world countries and the workforce there, and don't want to dive into that, but that allowed them to build the bottom line and increase their bottom line by lowering their operational costs when it comes to talent. And one of the things that most entrepreneurs that I saw that were able to ride that wave in 2010s, 2015s, 2020s are folks who understood that value of finding talent, not just within their home state, home city, home county, but across the country and across the globe. And so we definitely took that to heart, and we were able to grow and expand and literally transform our company once we understood that idea of global citizenship, global talent, and being able to capture some of that global talent. So now, I remember in my graduate school, our professor said, you're not just competing with the person next to you, competing with the world now. And that holds to be true, and it will continue to hold to be true in the short to near term. So it's one of those things that really changed the way we operate. And AI is looking to do the same thing. When you have nearshoring, the most visible was the blue collar worker being displaced. And I foresee, Salesforce just released a study, 30 to 40% of their workforce. Microsoft just fired 9,000 employees. So now you're seeing the white collar workers being displaced thanks to this technology, and in large part because of this technology. So we need to get in front of it as employees, as employers, to adapt and adopt to these tools so that we can be that added value that grows the company. Yeah, Nicole, you just mentioned it a little bit a few seconds ago. It's what do we represent in the marketplace? What is our brand? What do people experience when they touch our specific brand, Braven? And that's it. It's what do we want them to understand? So we just have multiple touch points within different departments of understanding what do we want to represent in the marketplace, making sure we have we call it internal branding, our internal comms, our internal branding set in stone, and everyone's singing from the same choir book. And so for us, that's really what we want to communicate to our external partners. This is a brand you can trust. This is a service you can trust. If you want to grow and scale and reach a certain segment of the population, small business, work with us. We've done it for top tier companies like Google, like TikTok, like counties, Wells Fargo's of the world. And so that's extremely important. And then when you talk about how do we become resilient in the workforce and in the future marketplace, it's leveraging our voice, our authentic voice in the way that matters. And so we're going through a whole restructuring when it comes to content creation. What do we want to say to the market? And then repositioning ourselves as that. And there's not really a repositioning, it's just a reintroduction of who we are, so that we can continuously tell them, hey, listen, now with AI, we're just accelerating that communication through all our channels. So what we're doing is leveraging AI to create a lot of content that resonates and provides value to our stakeholders. And when you throw terms around like stakeholder, what does that mean? To our mom and pops, to our technical or tech companies that we work with our government organizations that we work with. We want to continuously introduce ourselves and say, hey, we understand this technology. Here's an example of how we understand the technology through real world examples using the AI tools that we're leveraging. So I think it's just incorporating those tools in a way that reintroduces you to the marketplace and doing that across all your different opportunities, all your different channels.